Hi, I'm Jacob with Families on the Spectrum, and today we are here interviewing a couple people from Growing Minds Learning Center out of Paducah, Kentucky. We've got Emily, she's the office manager and also an RBT. We got Michaela, who is also a BCBA, and we got Jess, who is also a BCBA. They work with children who are on the spectrum, offering ABA services here in Paducah. Today we're just going to ask them a few questions, and just so that we can know what ABA is like and how it affects our families and what good it does and what a need it is in our community and all over the world in general. So I just have a couple quick questions. Jess, can you introduce yourself and explain what ABA is?
Yeah, so my name's Jessica Fisher. I'm originally from Indiana. I moved here about 2.5 years ago. So I've been in the field of ABA since 2013, and I've been a BCBA for 5 years. So I started as an RBT, and now I've worked up to being a BCBA. Michaela, do you want to introduce yourself?
Not Michaela. I was an RBT for 3.5 years. I started in January of 2019, and I just recently passed my test to be BCBA, so that was in the beginning of June. So I've been in the field for about 3.5 years, almost 4 years.
Fun fact, Michaela was actually my daughter's, Ariana's RBT. She had her on her caseload as well. So Emily, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Emily. I have been with Growing Minds Learning Center for about 3.5 years now. I started as an RBT in December of 2019. I was an RBT for about 1.5 years and then promoted to the office manager position. And then I recently have discovered how much I miss being an RBT and working directly with clients. So I'm currently pursuing my BCBA and we'll start classes at the end of August. So,
Well,
yeah.
good deal. Can you guys tell us a little about what is ABA?
Do you want me to do it? So ABA is, it's a scientific-based therapy that we kind of manipulate the environment to get results. So, we're going to increase the positive behaviors and work on decreasing the negative behaviors. ABA is really based, especially in clinic settings like this, on the use of positive reinforcement. So we do that so that we can increase those behaviors that we want to see that are accepted in the community. So that's really what we work on here a lot of. We do it in lots of different ways. There's lots of different ways that we teach it. We do stuff in the natural environment. We do stuff at the table, discrete trial teaching we do. So really we want to increase those social goals, those communication goals, reduce those maladaptive behaviors, and increase things just so that we can make, our clients' lives better. Michaela, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we, try to strive for independence, or to their standard of independence, what they can do independently, whether that's, functional living skills, community skills, communication. So whatever they can do independently, we work towards that so they can be the most independent possible.
Well, good. We get a lot of questions and there's a lot of backlash of ABA. There is a stigma with ABA. It is rough, it is abusive, but tell us what you guys see. How do you guys perceive that? Because there is a stigma around it, just
definitely.
from the autistic community itself, back from when it was invented to now.
Right. So I definitely think that, it's come a long way from what, it was originally thought of. So that's the furthest thing from the truth. We do a lot of one-on-one teaching. So all of our clients, you have your own therapist. We, complete things in a setting with peers or one-on-one. It can be done in clinic. Sometimes we do in home. Sometimes we do in a school setting. But it's really based on positive reinforcement. I think that that's the biggest thing that we really focus on is increasing those behaviors that we want to see. Michaela?
And, we do have an ethics code that we have to abide by now. So back in the day, there was not one. So now we have to follow that. We do follow that. And I know the stigma is we use a lot of punishment, but we don't. Like Jess said, it's all positive reinforcement unless, last resort is punishment. it's barely used, and even then, it's not what people think as punishment. You know, it's more of like timeout, or you don't get something until you do this. Yeah.
Well, good to know, good to know. Now, is it important to have eye contact with communication when you're working with clients? Now, I'm talking about for them. Is it important for them to have eye contact with you? Because, you know, as many know, not a lot of autistic kids or adults, they don't keep direct eye contact.
So I think, you know, and I know this is a question as well. A lot of the groups that I'm in, I see this as well. I do think a lot of times we hold kids to a higher standard than us. Personally, for eye contact, I do, like, if they orient their body towards you or give you some indication that they are paying attention to you. So not necessarily them looking you in the eye. So just any indication that they're, you know, paying attention, because if you think to my, you know, even myself, like sometimes if somebody's talking to me, I don't give eye contact. I'm just like, yeah, like, what do you want? So any indication to me, I just think, you know, it's important that we don't hold them to a higher standard than ourselves.
And I think that it's important that, you know, that's something that we can work up to, so we shape our behaviors too. So, you know, something that might be acceptable now in a couple months may not be acceptable, and we'll slowly work up to that. So, you know, I do have eye contact programs in my, you know, skills that I'm teaching, and I know Michaela does as well. And those are individual targets that we can work on outside of just communication. You know, we can work on those eye contact. So like, for example, if I say a child's name, I want them to look at me, you know, so making eye contact at that, and then we'll increase it to the distance. So, you know, just between you and I, and then can they, you know, make eye contact when their name's called across the room, and then we can kind of shape that into what we want it to look like.
Okay. Now, do you have to be autistic to do ABA?
So ABA in our specific clinic, and the clinics that I previously worked at, do require an autism diagnosis. I know that there are other clinics out there that do not require an autism diagnosis, and ABA can be used really anywhere. It doesn't only apply to children with autism. I know of, you know, there's different types of ABA that you can get into. Us three are specifically in the field of applied behavior analysis with kids on the spectrum. But I know that you can, you know, get ABA training and work at a giant corporation and train the employees there, you know, using ABA. So it's not just for autism specifically here. We do use it just for autism, but I know that there is a wide range of ABA offerings.
Thank you. Now, Emily, what is the process to get into a place like Growing Minds or anywhere that they would get ABA?
Sure. So we do actually have a web form that we use for our new intakes, and I can get you guys the link for that so that you can post it for your families and anybody else interested. But it's just a web form. There is a place to upload a picture of your insurance card and the diagnosis report if you have that. And then if not, someone from our team will reach out later. But basically, we just require some general information.
Well, good. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here. One last question. What would you say to someone wanting to get into to be a BCBA? How would you get into it?
So I can kind of give my background of it, and I know Michaela can kind of give hers. So it's super rewarding. So I know that, you know, it's not, especially in Paducah, it's not overly common. So, you know, the best way I feel and the way that I did it was I just started out as a therapist. So when I first started, RBT wasn't a thing. You were just a behavioral therapist. That's all you were. So recently, over the last couple of years, RBT's kind of been a requirement to provide these services. So I definitely think that the best way to do it would be to start as an RBT, figure out if it's really something that you enjoy doing, and if it is, you know, that's when you can decide to go back to school to get your master's to become a BCBA. And it's really beneficial to work as an RBT in the field before you become a BCBA or on your way to becoming a BCBA, just because you get a lot of experience. A lot of your school work will be beneficial with the help of the actual work that you're doing every day. It's definitely feasible. Is it difficult? Yes, but you can work full-time and go to school to be a BCBA. So I definitely think the best way like I did, was just start out as an RBT, get the feel for it, see how you feel about it, and then it's an awesome thing that you can just apply online to many different schools. I went to Ball State for mine. Michaela, where'd you go?
I went to a online college in New York, out of New York.
So yeah, both of us did it online, worked full time, and then you have to gain hours that you have to be supervised for, and then you can sit for your BCBA exam and go from there. But I definitely think it's a field that is, we need RBTs, we need BCBAs. We have tons of kids that need services that we're unable to supply for because we just don't have the staffing that we need. So it's definitely something, and I don't want people to be deferred by the fact if they don't have any experience. I didn't have any experience when I started, in 2013 as a RBT. You don't have to have experience. Lots of companies, including ours, provide that RBT training, and then you can go from there. So it's definitely a great opportunity. It's a great field to work in. I always tell people the most rewarding job I've ever had and continue to have every day.
What do you guys love about working with children on the spectrum?
So for me, the most beneficial thing and the part that I love the most is seeing the progress that they make. So, that's kind of a generic answer, but when you're in the field, having a client that comes in with no communication, no social skills, and, you work for a while on just teaching them to respond to somebody waving at them, like that progress is just so reinforcing as somebody that's working in the field. So my biggest thing is, obviously I love the kids, I love who they are and what they come in with, and but I just love watching the progress that they make. And sometimes it's short time, sometimes it's in a longer period of time, but in general the progress that they make while they're receiving ABA services is what's my favorite thing about ABA.
And I agree. That's mine too. I've had many of kids that come in with no communication skills, no social skills, start from the very bottom, and we build those up to where they can, communicate, whether it's with words, sign language, a device, and transferring that to, waving, being able to play with their peers, appropriately even play with toys. I love watching the steps, and how they grow into those programs, and learning their personalities and getting to know them every single day, seeing them light up when they come in, when they see their therapist, knowing that we're making a positive change in their life and that they love to be here, so that, it lets us know that we're doing a good job.
Yeah, they kind of took mine, but I agree with everything they said. Just really getting to know each of our clients. They're all so different because of autism being such a spectrum. You never know what kind of client you're going to get to work with, and I think it's so exciting to see all the different personalities you get to work with while also seeing the progress that they make each day. It's really exciting.
And I came into this little biased because I personally live ABA because my daughter, who is nonverbal autistic, she has grown so much in ABA. Before, she wasn't even able to, sit down and watch TV for less than 2 minutes. Let alone to go potty, let alone to, now she's tapping on your shoulder, getting your attention before she's just getting things or running outside. She's letting you know with her communication that she's learned just from ABA alone. I mean, there's no way as a parent I would have known how to do any of it. So ABA has helped us in tremendous ways. We still have a lot to go, a long way to go, but just in general, it's helped her so much out in the community. It's helped her at home, and we still see those behaviors have modified to be positive in her life, where now she does this thing where she gets too hyper, she folds her hands, as soon as I say fold her hands, she's sitting down and she folds her hands, she knows it's time to, so it's just been a positive influence for us as well. Well, thank you guys for meeting with us today and answering all of our questions. We're actually on our way now. We're going to do a little clip and a video and show what day-to-day ABA looks like from an actual client. The client is my daughter, so it is, obviously the clinic is HIPAA regulated, so I am okaying it. So we're just gonna get a little clip and show you guys what her therapy in general looks like. Thank you.